You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore. And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, you know, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place. But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem. Over the seas, and it comes right over our land. And then they want us to have clean. I say, wait a minute, we're going to be clean, but it's all flying. Just remember that. Does that make sense? It's not wind that goes around and around. And, darling, let's watch the president's State of the Union speech tonight. I'm sorry, we won't be able to do it. The wind isn't blowing, darling. No electricity.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Sunday afternoon. My name is Jeremy Baker. With me, of course, as always, is Mike Foligno. Welcome back to the show. So on today's show, we are going to talk about one very specific thing. Trump hates America. And he does. I think he has proven it over these last few months, if not last few years, that he really despises everything about this country, which I think is amazing because the asshole has been privileged since the birth. He has literally been afforded every possible advantage throughout his life. He has failed at every business he has ever tried. He's been found liable for sexual assault. He was on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I mean, everything about this guy screams un-American, but nothing more than his recent visit to Arlington National Cemetery, where he disgraced the most hallowed ground at Section 60. And it has us completely pissed off. So we're actually going to talk about three different people today. Donald Trump, of course. We're going to also talk about JD Vance and a couple other things that he's been saying recently. And then we're also going to talk about Jesse Waters from Fox News. Now, I have to admit, like, these three people strike me at, like, if Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler, okay, that would make JD Vance and Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation Himmler. And then Jesse Waters and Fox News would be their propaganda specialist, Goebbels.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, they have their whole fascist squad only on steroids, because back during World War II, obviously, the internet and 24-hour news networks didn't exist. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Question: would that make and everyone watching will understand why I'm mentioning this now? Does that make Dr. Phil their Joseph Mengele?
Right? Yeah. Well,
and like, I feel bad because there is nothing worth joking about when it comes to Mengele, but you know, we do appreciate dark humor. That's the only way we can get through all this. But you'll see why I mentioned Dr. Phil later, because he's a piece of shit.
Right. So just when you think, again, like we should start every show, that just when you think things couldn't get any dumber.
Yeah. Guess what?
It does.
It does.
Let me just preface this entire episode with this little montage that I made. And I could probably do an hour-long episode just making montages of Donald Trump saying we're a failing nation, we're a third world nation, we're a banana republic. You know what? If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. We don't need you.
Well, it's funny.
Russia's accepting Americans at the moment. Go over there.
And there has been a news story where there was a family that went there, and then within a few months was like, we can't live here. We got to go.
I was telling my mother about this. They went over there thinking the same thing, that Russia was going to be better than the United States. And then they started talking shit about things that were going on in Russia that they didn't like, while Russia quickly went and had a little talk with them saying that you can't do that here.
That's not so. Yeah, free speech doesn't exist in Russia.
Right, exactly. It does not.
And suddenly they learn what free speech is.
No shit, right? So here's a clip of Donald Trump saying that we are a failing nation.
You look at our airports where flights are being delayed 4 days, where people are pitching tents in an airport because their flight is so, it's never going to even happen. We've never had problems like this. What you're seeing in the last 2 years, we've never seen anything like it. And we become like, we are a failing nation. Well, we've become a third world nation in many ways. We're going to make it great again. Right now, we have a failing nation. We're in a failing nation and become in many ways a third world nation. And we're not going to let that happen. Personally, we have a lot of important subjects because our country has become a third world nation. We literally are a third world nation. We're a banana republic in so many ways, and we're not going to let that happen.
Right. All right. You're supposed to be the leader. You want to be the leader of this country. And you talk about the country like that. To me, that is not somebody that loves America. That's not somebody that loves freedom. That he doesn't love what we stand for. The guy hates this country.
It shows you exactly what Trump's method is to convincing people, right? He always called himself the great negotiator. We know that's not true. But what he took to the world of politics was, if I anger and enrage and make afraid a group of people so desperately that I could convince them to storm the Capitol, I could convince them to hate their neighbor, I could convince them to hate a guy like Tim Walz, right? He doesn't care what he says. He doesn't care how he says it. Whatever he's going to do is meant to inflame people. And we're going to get to that later, because as of about an hour ago, Donnie Boy has been using AI images to scare the shit out of people. But these videos show a good point. He doesn't know what Banana Republic means. He doesn't know. He couldn't define what a third world nation means, but he knows that those are inflammatory. And if he disparages the United States, it's his way of saying that it's dead and they took it. It's dead and they killed it. It's dead and only you and I can bring it back. You look at the other side, what Kamala Harris is doing, what Joe Biden did.
Exactly.
And they talk about America as the beautiful thing that maybe it wasn't always, but could be. We love what America stands for. We could make it better.
Right.
So when you see Donald Trump disparaging America, it's because he has no respect for it, which means he doesn't love it.
No, see, Donald Trump, when he says make America great again, we always talk about this. He means make America great for rich white people. He doesn't mean for everybody. Exactly. He doesn't even care if they're Christians. As long as they have money and they worship him,
he doesn't
give a shit if you're Christian or not. So, yeah, it is beyond unbelievable that people even support this absolute insanity, especially after this week. So we're going to get into more clips of Donald Trump, because he does an interview with Dr. Phil. It's an absolute disaster. He does his little promotional video at Arlington National Cemetery in Section 60. He does a interview with some douchebag named Sean Ryan, who apparently is an ex-Navy SEAL, but for some reason supports Trump. Like, if you're military and you support Trump, oh my God, go stick your head up your own ass.
Yeah, but you know what?
It is absolutely stupid.
My brief opinion on that is, I know several people, a lot of people in my life have family members that are in the military. I directly know a bunch of people that were in the military, and I'm not talking my grandfather. Okay. Some of my best friends and some of their relatives were in the military in my lifetime. And I respect people that go to the military for the service it represents. What I think we're seeing is there are people in the military, like the generals that didn't listen to Trump when he was like, let's just bomb a country for funsies. Okay.
Yeah.
The people that understand what service is, I respect them. But I think what you're seeing is that the service members that support Donald Trump, those are the people that very likely were bullies in school and think that's all that's awesome is guns and flags and I'm a man. Those are the people that support Donald Trump in the military, not true service members.
No,
sorry if
actually,
that upsets you.
A friend of the show, retired Lieutenant Colonel Fred Wellman, contributor for the Minus Touch Network, he actually just did an interview with Katie Fang that I started watching it before the show, but I'll have to finish it up afterwards. He's going to come on the show here. We haven't scheduled a day yet, but he will be on the show in the near future to talk about
I just want his opinion.
Not only his personal experience at the DNC, but how he personally felt, because he was I don't see Fred get mad very often. Man, he was upset about this whole Arlington National Cemetery incident.
He is a measured gentleman, and I can't imagine what he felt knowing what he's seen and been through. The guy was a combat helicopter pilot.
Right, because like Fred Wellman and my father, like they both served 22 years. Both my father and Fred were in two different wars.
Tim Walz.
Yeah, Tim. You know what I mean? They are the true like heroes. They know what sacrifice
service.
They know what it is to mean to leave their family. A lot of they don't go. You know, if the military, they tell you to do something, you do it. That's what it's all about. Service. You know what I mean? Yeah, but Donald Trump and none of these people, these entitled people like Jesse Waters or, you know, I think I figured it out with Jesse Waters and JD Vance. And maybe even Donald Trump. I think this is, and a lot of these men, actually, let's just include all of them. All these guys have insane mommy issues that they have never worked through. I mean, about it. I mean, JD Vance says the most god awful things about women. You know what I mean? It's the only thing I can think of. Like, these people have serious, deep-rooted psychological mommy issues that they need to go to therapy over. We'll get it. Yeah. So we'll show more of that. We'll show some more of those videos in the next episode of JD Vance, because there's another resurfaced video of JD Vance saying disparaging things about people without kids.
Dude is dying on a hill. Like, I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of videos. It's weird because, you get into these weird kind of Christo-fascist people, and their beliefs on things are just despicable in general. But there are times where you could tell it's like their indoctrination. JD Vance has a weird obsession with people that choose to not have children.
Yeah.
Okay. We already know he doesn't respect people that can't have kids, because no Republican respects women that can't procreate. Because what's the point of a woman then? If Republicans don't understand that.
I mean, that's all they look
at. JD Vance specifically cannot accept people that choose to not have kids. That's weird. Like, I get when some people are born with that instinct in their soul that they want to have a kid. Some people end up having kids and then love their kids because, okay, that's great. Not everyone wants to have children. Like, they think the whole purpose of life is for man to punch hog, bring hog home, for woman who pregnant, make baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's not life for everyone. Just because you can have kids doesn't mean you have to have kids.
JD Vance, they asked him about abortion, and he actually said that why should you kill the baby because the circumstances of the R word, or is an inconvenience to the mother. So if a mom gets assaulted sexually against her will, gets pregnant, they're saying that the fact that she was assaulted is an inconvenience. I don't understand these people.
Go read Project 2025.
So. All right, so let's get into the subject matters. Jesse Waters.
I'm going to get salty today.
He's up first. Yeah, this is going to be a heated episode. I did give a language warning a couple days ago on this episode because some of this stuff has me so pissed off. First is Jesse Waters insinuating that Kamala Harris is weak and that she's going to get assaulted. He made it sound sexual by the generals when they're in the Situation Room. And he says that's not what he meant. But damn well that's what
he said that.
This was a terrible week. She got no bounce out of the convention.
I always do that for you.
No bounce.
Not a 4-point bounce. And
no
she's
bounce.
in Georgia today campaigning.
Okay, she got no bounce, Jessica. Look at the polls. And she's now down in all the battleground states. Real clear. Check it out. Okay. Right now, in the break, I'll prove you wrong.
Okay.
But he's wrong. He's lying.
Yes. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. With fewer than 70 days until the presidential election, we are releasing new Fox polls from key Sun Belt states, and it's anyone's ballgame, as you can see right here.
This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse Waters.
Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
he said that intentionally.
Have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way.
Man, if you lose,
disgusting.
I'm sorry, but if you offend Judge Jeanine Pirro,
that's true. She has no morality.
You've said something bad. If you've offended her, wow. So that first part I wanted to just show because it was funny because Jesse Waters is like, oh, Kamala's not leading in the polls, and then an hour later, Brett Baer shows the polls showing Kamala leading, and those are Fox News polls, which are extremely biased. Yeah, and then the last part is it's disrespectful. It's a sitting vice president of the United States.
I gotta tell you, it tells you a lot about Fox as an organization that the suit is over. They owe or did $750 million because they lied and screwed up a presidential election by their lies, their deceit, and their complicity in Trump's crimes. Okay. And they don't apparently have a standing order to stop doing that because Jesse Waters is like, man, if there's any defining characteristic of Republicans, it's they are all jealous of men around them. I want to be that guy. I want his muscles. I want his job. I want to be loved like he is. Jesse Waters is up Tucker Carlson's ass to try and get away to steal that crown for being the biggest piece of garbage on a corporate media network, because
he's doing really well.
I have never seen the insanity coming from Jesse Waters that it never came from Tucker to this degree. And that is saying a lot. Tucker is the trash bag at the bottom of the bin. When you take the one trash bag out and that one that's down there, that's all gross. That's Tucker Carlson. Jesse Waters is like, hold my beer. And he dives right in there.
Yeah, he's really bad. Greg Gutfeld is another one that's a just absolute
Gutfeld is a
nightmare.
scumbag.
Yeah, he's also on the 5 along with I don't know. Like again, I got to give credit to just Jessica Tarloff because I would be slapping some motherfuckers. Excuse my language. I'd be slapping some people.
If you're gonna get paid if you're going to get paid to be on TV and call out assholes, screw it.
I'm too emotional, man. I let my emotions.
Yeah, I would lose my
mind. I don't hide it. Yeah, if somebody insults somebody like that and I feel offended, then I'm going to say something. But anyway, Jesse Waters is wrong because Kamala Harris is leading in almost all the polls now, even in the swing states. And actually, Mike has some information that we can go over just to prove our point.
Well, I know polls are boring, and I apologize. And I'll give the disclaimer again. Polls don't tell the whole story, especially individually. But what I've been learning a lot as I go on this adventure to try and understand more of the data about politics, it's the trends, especially where, when, who. So you look at this. This is just a straight up Emerson poll. Right now, who's winning the national poll? Well, Kamala Harris is winning 50-46. So I'll tell you one thing. Most polls, that margin is fairly significant. That margin there is almost at the edge of extremes for polling. So usually when you get to a presidential election, you're going like 51-49, so that's pretty big nationally. And I think that has to do a lot with the surges you're seeing due to the DNC and people liking Kamala. So here's other ways to look at it. Here's a poll from July 24th through August, and it shows national average. All right, so that's right around, this starts right around when Biden drops out, Kamala takes over, and you see what's happening. There was a lag, but there's also a growing trend. That's as information spreads, as the joy has been spreading, as the news that we might have a chance is spreading, you see who's winning. And all of August, it's been a trend up for Kamala and down for Donnie Boy. Here is one just for example, and I know the niche ones don't tell everything, but when you look in terms of the overall, black voters. Well, all right, that's great. Most, I assume, black voters are not going to vote for Donald Trump anyway, but the jump from 73 for Biden when it was Biden versus Trump to Kamala, 81%, makes you think of what Georgia was able to accomplish. Okay, let's not forget, in the 2020 midterm elections, Stacey Abrams got every person in Georgia to vote who needed to vote, and they basically stopped Georgia from being a shithole state. Here's one, okay, in a lot of important states. And you see what it was, the percentages, who was leading in those states when it was Biden and now Harris. You look at Pennsylvania. Trump was up 7. He might be up 4 now. That's a big change. That's close.
Oh, he's losing Pennsylvania. We are not letting Pennsylvania go. I'm sorry.
I know. You look at Michigan. Michigan, all right, going from 5 to 11, that's significant. That goes from is it in play a little bit to it might not be in play at all. Wisconsin, I don't care. You look at Arizona, all right, when it was Biden, Trump was up 3. Now Harris is up 2. That's almost 100% swing the other way. Georgia, even. Nevada going from Trump plus 5 to Harris plus 1. It's important.
The swings, I think, are what you need to pay attention to.
Exactly. You see that. And here's where you're starting to see things. Donald Trump favorability rating in swing states. Okay.
So Florida
Arizona.
and Georgia.
Yeah, look at Florida and Georgia. They don't like Donald Trump. Florida, the word swing, might flip. You never know. Here's some other ones. Minnesota, it's down, but it's close. Nevada, close. New Mexico, close. This is where things start to get interesting. Favorability ratings of U.S. leadership. These are all the major players from Joe Biden to Tim Walz. Everyone in this election. Tim Walz has a net favorability rating higher than anyone else.
People love Tim Walz.
All right. Think about that. Kamala Harris has a huge net favorability rating over Joe Biden or Donald Trump and poor JD Vance. You look at Joe Biden, his net favorability rating, Joe Biden's net favorability rating was -3. Donald Trump is -3. JD Vance is -5. That means that with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they are overall both net positive more than any other combination of people in this election.
I think the next one's my favorite.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Oh, no, not this one.
Oh, the last one. All right. So here's 2024 presidential election voting intention swing states. So this is pretty interesting. Arizona almost tied. Florida. You know what? It's far apart, but it's not as bad as you'd think for Florida. Georgia.
No.
Minnesota is net positive intentional voting, who people say they're going to vote for. You look at all there from Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico, even almost North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are all going for, at least they say they are, Kamala Harris.
Tim Walz favorability is through the fucking roof, man.
Walz in swing states. Man. People love Tim Walz more than Donald Trump or JD Vance or Kamala Harris.
I'm like, right?
Come on.
People love this guy. What is there not to like about Tim Walz so far?
And it's so bad. Wait a minute. It's so bad for Donald Trump. His hometown newspaper, like this week, the Palm Beach Post, okay? Polls show voters souring on Trump's behavior and tone.
No, don't forget,
That's
Donald
his
Trump
own
is spending.
hometown.
Yeah, his campaign spent like $50,000 in a week just to post positive messages around
and
around
think about,
Mar-a-Lago.
wait a minute. So they were spending that campaign money, okay, to make Donald Trump's ego somewhat appeased. And the newspaper's like, yeah, no, we hate you too. Everyone hates you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go on to the next video that we have, because this is Jesse Waters again.
Oh, man.
Doing hard-hitting, like they have nothing to go on. Nothing. This is a video of Jesse Waters doing a news story about whether or not Kamala actually worked at McDonald's.
Because this is what they got. This is
important. Now, before I play the video, keep in mind, Kamala Harris worked in the McDonald's during the fucking 80s. Okay, they didn't have electronic records back then, and she worked there for like a summer. So good luck
you
trying
still
to
can
verify
you still got paid in cash. Let's think about that.
Yeah, no kidding. Like there was no direct deposit. Like that shit didn't exist.
Yeah, no one was
then.
like, "Did you file your W-2?" No, you worked at McDonald's, you got paid, and you went home.
Yeah, so Fox News is spending their money trying to investigate this, and just listen to this bullshit.
And if they had anything else, they'd be going for that. The big fish. Think about that.
This is nothing right here, nothing.
Ever since Tiananmen Tim got busted for lying about being a head coach, inflating his military service, and telling Kamala he can't handle spice after winning a spicy taco competition, there's been growing doubts about the Harris-Walz campaign. Tonight, one of Kamala's key elements to her biography has come into question, and it's a big one. There was no mention of McDonald's in both of her memoirs, and so far, all reporters looking into it have found no evidence.
We obtained a job application that Kamala filled out for a law clerk position in 1987 that instructed her to list every job that she had for the past 10 years. McDonald's is not mentioned in that job application or in her resume at that time.
Oh, my God.
We reached out to McDonald's corporate several times asking, hey, can you confirm her employment?
Just smack
no
that
response.
look on
we reached
Jesse
out
Waters'
to
face.
I was getting ready to say that shit, man.
No one would say if Kamala worked at their location.
I was waiting for the video to be over, and I was like, God, I'd love to smack that smug smile off his face. So, yeah, that's what they're reporting on. They're trying to verify. This is what they're worried about. First, they're claiming Tim Walz lied about being a head coach. He's an assistant coach. Okay, coach is actually in the damn title. And then inflating his military record? Are you high? Like, the guy did 24 years honorably. Made it to the highest enlisted rank you could possibly obtain, and you don't get there by not being a good soldier. So Jesse Waters, who, again, very entitled his whole life, never had to work a hard day in his life, is now critiquing somebody that did work hard their whole life to get what they've got.
I'd also like to point out Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Like, what are we even talking about here?
But they're worried about
felonies.
They're worried about Kamala Harris's early work history, as if
from 40 years ago.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. If Kamala Harris lied about her work history at McDonald's, I think that's inappropriate. I think that's stupid, and it would be a negative reflection on her in some light. But guess what?
Yeah.
Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies and was found to be an adjudicated, word.
He was convicted.
I don't care. I don't care.
Fraud is literally lying. like you were convicted of committing massive amounts of fraud to the tune.
Many lies, much lies, all the lies, all the best lies.
I have huge lies. I lie.
All right.
Anyway, moving on. That's enough of Jesse Waters for one show. So let's get it. We're gonna get into JD Vance now. Another one of our I'm starting to think he's a Democratic psyop, because every time he opens his mouth, he makes things worse than Trump.
He's bad at this.
He is very bad at this. But just real quick before we start our next segment, if you guys like the show so far, like what you see, please click like and subscribe, leave a comment, share this video with your friends and family. So let's get into JD Vance. Again, somebody who has been funded by billionaire Peter Thiel most of his adult life, has literally a year and a half, almost 2 years of government service, served 4 years in the military as a corporal, and that's about it. And he wrote a book. That might be the problem. That's freaking brilliant. You were looking for the black Kamala Harris. You should have been looking for the Asian Kamala Harris. Oh, that's what it is. Now I know why they can't find her McDonald's record. It's so bad. Like their birth certificate thing. Like, she wasn't born in Oakland. Like, dude, stop. This is stupid. But all right, first clip we have, because we all know that JD Vance is just a plant by Kevin Roberts and the Heritage Foundation.
He might be an actual plant, like a vegetable.
He could be, because every new video or every resurfaced video of him is god awful. Here's him talking about one of Project 2025's plans. About they want to fire all civil servants or replace them with MAGA loyalists, and when they go to court, defy the Supreme Court. See, that's what the part I don't think the Supreme Court understands. If Trump wins, they no longer have power, because they want to give Donald Trump ultimate power, which would essentially make the Supreme Court obsolete, because they could overrule the Supreme Court. But here's
almost like checks and balances are there to make sure we don't have a dictator.
Yes. It almost makes sense now.
I would think that what Trump should do, like if I was giving him one piece of advice, fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, replace them with our people. And when the courts, because you will get taken to court, and then when the courts stop you, stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did and say the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let him enforce it.
Yeah. So that's their plan. They just want to do whatever they want with no consequences whatsoever. And then we have a video here of JD Vance. See, this is another thing that bothers us, is Kamala Harris is blaming high prices on corporate price gouging, which is appropriate because that's exactly what happened. And if you don't believe me, I believe Kroger's just came out and admitted it. They're like, we were ripping people off. We did that shit. So there really is no argument of whether it's caused by inflation or because what happened during the pandemic is they raised prices on everything because there was disruption in supply. So they raised the prices. Well, COVID went away. We got our supply chain back, like Donald Trump likes to say. We got our supply chains back, and they never lowered the prices. So costs went down, prices stayed the same, profits go up. It's very simple. But these guys don't seem to either understand that or just don't want to blame their corporate donors.
All of their eggs eggs, pun intended, because of the price of eggs, right? All their eggs are in that basket. That's how capitalism functions. You just make up a price and gouge the shit out of the workers. That's it. That's how you make profit.
Exactly. So here's him blaming the corporations, or not blaming the corporations, I'm sorry, basically blaming the Biden-Harris administration for how prices are, not corporations, because we know how much Donald Trump and J.D. Vance love corporate money.
Senator Vance, one of the big issues on the campaign trail has been inflation, the cost of groceries, the cost of gas. Yeah. What would you do on day one to reverse that? And Democrats keep pointing to corporate greed. Is that a factor in this as well?
Well, look, it may very well be a factor, but the simple fact is the way to tamp down on that is to make sure we have competitive markets and low prices, right? You don't have to believe that, you don't have to believe that corporations are angels. Some of them are doing great jobs and some of them aren't, but that is not what's driving the most of the inflation in this country right now. What we're seeing consistently is energy prices are too high, food prices are too high, housing prices are too high. The story there is Kamala Harris supported the Inflation Explosion Act, and they've made it harder to produce American energy. When you do those two things, you're necessarily going to have inflation.
Inflation is
literally
down.
Worked.
Last time I checked, inflation is down. Yeah, she wants to give people money to be first-time home buyers. So she's actually increasing opportunities to own homes, which is part of the American dream. So I've been told. I've never actually owned my own home. I'm still a renter at 46 years old. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, see the fundamental problem. And they're under this way of thinking, prices would not only go down, they would go up because not only Donald Trump and J.D. Vance not blaming the corporations, they want to add a 10% tariff onto every single product that is imported, from gum to cars. Could you imagine? And that tariff is, we pay it. The country that sends it doesn't pay it. We do, the consumers. They've actually said that Donald Trump's plan for the economy would add like 5 times as much as Kamala Harris's would to the national deficit. They've called it a complete disaster. So.
Also, you know what's really funny about tariffs? You know what they do? Especially since J.D. Bowman, as Sheldon has been trying to remind me to call him. Like to say in the video that, if you have competition and that keeps prices down, well, guess what tariffs do since the tariffs hit the consumer? That means, well, I'm not going to buy the goods from there. I'm going to have to buy the goods from somewhere else. And if the companies set their goods prices just lower than the tariffs cause, then they're still making huge profits, but we have no choice and have to go to them.
And a lot of these corporations are trying to buy out their competition. I believe there's some antitrust lawsuits coming up against the food industry to prevent. Wow, Addison, why
are you in Pittsburgh? Oh, you're still, nice. She's still on her little trip around the U.S.
These corporations are trying to actually eliminate competition by buying it. So instead of one company lowering prices to increase sales, and then usually the other one would follow suit, no, they're just going to buy them out and not have that problem anymore. So that's what they're trying to do. Corporations are evil in this country, man. This is what happens when you have unchecked capitalism. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about capitalism. Capitalism is good. I think socialism can also be good. If you mix them together, I think it would be perfect.
Democratic socialism.
Unregulated, unchecked capitalism or socialism, either way, not
unchecked
good.
Anything. Because every system, my God, we actually have to say it. There is no perfect system because every system is going to involve humans. And there's no such thing as a perfect human. Not in that our flaws might cause a problem, but that in our defects might abuse a system, such as greed and all those fear, ignorance, all those other things. So any system can be abused. Capitalism is designed to make money as much as possible because profit is king off the people that build it. Democratic type socialism is not opposed to capitalism. It works to make sure that the necessary goods for all of the people are extracted from the profit side before the profit is given out. That's it. Yeah. It's literally how that works in practice.
Yeah. And next time you want to be against socialism, just remember your kids go to public school that is paid for by the government. That is called socialism. It's
also your roads getting plowed, your garbage getting picked up,
all
the
that.
police, the fire departments, and yet our hospitals aren't. I wonder why.
Yeah, that's something that I hope changes. And well, I mean, we mentioned Kamala Harris is talking about Medicare for all. And for some reason, the Republicans hate that idea. They don't want everybody to have health insurance. They don't want kids to have free lunch in schools. They actually want to ban free lunch in schools. I'm not kidding you. Some Republicans in the House, if they win next year, that is on their agenda, is to ban, make sure kids don't have free lunch in school. Like, just scratch your head with that one because it doesn't make any sense. Okay. JD Vance. Chris Hayes tears JD Vance apart because now we're getting into military is also exactly. So JD Vance is asked, he's asked about what happened at Arlington, and JD Vance is a former Marine, so you would think he would have an appropriate response. No, just listen to what he says right here, and then we'll get into the whole Arlington situation.
You're acting like Donald Trump filmed a TV commercial at a gravesite. He was there providing emotional support to a lot of brave Americans who lost loved ones they never should have lost, and there happened to be a camera there.
Oh, there happened to be a camera there? How stupid do you think we are?
Exactly.
He was just called to provide emotional support, a thing he does all the time away from the cameras. And oh, look at that, a camera. This was the video Trump posted, of course, to his social media that day.
We lost 13 great people. What a horrible day it was. We didn't lose one person in 18 months. And then they took over that disaster, the leaving of Afghanistan.
That's a campaign ad filmed at Arlington, obviously. Also, we didn't lose one person in 18 months. Dozens of U.S. service members died in action under Donald Trump. That's been erased. No ceremony for them, no ad, certainly.
Hey, you know what else happened? Putin put bounties on American soldiers, and dozens of them were killed. And Donald Trump was like, "Putin's the greatest. I love Putin. Everything's great about Putin. He smells wonderful."
Yeah, he's like, Putin was very strong in his denial. Man, I hope nobody. Yeah, so this is just getting out of hand. So he did exactly that. He made a campaign video. He went there specifically to make a campaign video. Now, apparently, you can have, you can go to Arlington, you can take pictures, you can do the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, all that. But Section 60, very much off limits to politicians, influencers, pretty much anybody that is not a part of the Arlington National Cemetery. And what happened? Well, Donald Trump he doesn't respect America. He doesn't respect the troops. He doesn't respect the laws that surround these things. There's a federal law that he broke. You are not allowed to film without express consent in Section 60 under any circumstances. That is a federal law, and he broke it. And the only reason he is not arrested for this is because the woman they assaulted, the Arlington National Cemetery employee, who was a female who they physically put hands on and got into a verbal altercation, she didn't want to press charges because she's afraid of what Donald Trump supporters would do to her.
A service person, a service member.
Right. So, So Donald Trump's reaction I'll play here in a second, but let me show you what Fox News posted here. And the only good thing about, let me take it down. The only good thing about Twitter right now, because it's just X-Chan, it's 4chan and Twitter combined. The only good thing about it is community notes. And the military doesn't come out and make statements about shit. Okay. The Department of the Army doesn't come out and make statements. This was so bad that the Department of the Army actually came out and made a statement against what Donald Trump did. But then Fox News posts this, and thank God there's a community note. But if you'll notice, the community note is from Arlington National Cemetery. Biden, who skipped Arlington event for vacation, trashed Trump in June for declining cemetery visit.
It wasn't an event.
There was the community note. There was no Arlington event that Biden declined. The former President Trump recent visit was private and not event in quotation marks related, and
means by definition it was a choice to go there with cameras because there was not going to be cameras there. And I think what's really important, and I didn't do a ton of research on it yet because I just came across it quick. I believe Jamie Raskin has reached out to the Army for all information related to the incident.
They should. You know what? And this is why it's important for us to win the House and the Senate this time, and the White House, is because
hold these assholes
proper
accountable.
Investigations. We can hold all these people accountable. Marjorie Taylor Greene, freaking Matt Gaetz,
Josh Hawley.
Jared Kushner,
Jim Jordan.
Exactly. All these people need to be held accountable. They've literally tried to rip the country in half.
Trump was notified ahead of time. Thank you, Diana. She just messaged us that. It's not like no one knew what was going on. Donald Trump and his campaign either contacted Arlington or whatever, but there was an actual communication that you cannot do this here. And they went there and did it.
Yeah. And you want to hear what Donald Trump's response was when asked this question? It's a setup. I shit you not. You just saw the video. That video was on Donald Trump's social media TikTok account. You can go there right now. Donald Trump, one of the videos is of Arlington National Cemetery. They posted that video within hours.
The video that we're about to show is, in my opinion, the first of a couple we have to still show today. His brain is mush. The guy is trying to justify and blame, and he's still going off on random tangents.
So he says he didn't know the rules and regulations, and then it was just somebody else. Somebody else could have. Actually, what he does is he tries to blame other Gold Star families.
Yep.
Think about that for a second. Just listen to this. Okay, so the guy broke the law, disrespected the military again. Like, how many times does he have to shit on our military and our veterans before veterans and military members stop supporting him? Like, what else do you want them to do? What else?
Should your campaign have put out those videos and photos?
Well, we have a lot of people. We have people, TikTok people. We're leading the internet. That was the other thing. We're so far above her on the internet.
But on that hallowed ground, should they have put out the images of those?
I don't know what the rules and regulations are. I don't know who did it. And it could have been them. It could have been the parents. It could have been somebody.
It was your campaign's TikTok, though, that put out the video.
I really don't know anything about it. All I do is I stood there and I said, if you'd
my
like
God.
to have a picture, we can have a picture. If somebody did this was a setup by the people in the administration that, Trump is coming to Arlington. That looks so bad for us.
It's actually kind of precedent.
That's right, everybody. Joe Biden, even though he was on vacation, went to Arlington, made a video, and then posted it to Donald Trump's fucking TikTok account. Like, how dumb does that? When I say that out loud, does anybody go, that's ridiculous? That's the dumbest thing anybody's ever said. Well, guess what? The Republican candidate for president said it, not just a random psycho. Donald Trump said it. It's a setup by Gold Star families and the Biden administration. Like, really? Like, is this what it's come to? Is this really what it's come to? We're going to elect a complete muppet? This guy's a moron, an absolute moron, and then won't even take accountability for this. This is what pisses me off the most. He could have said, I'm sorry, it was inappropriate. I'll take the video down. No. What does he say? Maybe it was the families of the other people that were buried there. Oh my God. So then he goes on to a Dr. Phil interview, which we have some information on Dr. Phil that we're going to go over because he's a real piece of shit too. But if you watch the whole interview, it's insane because Dr. Phil actually insinuates that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had something to do with this assassination. He asked Donald Trump, do you think they had something to do with it? Like, what? No, they didn't have anything to do with it. It was a Republican. So, all right, here's Dr. Phil. Okay. So you're saying Kamala Harris and the Biden administration searched the entire United States for specifically a Republican Trump supporter and then convinced him to shoot the guy that he support. Whatever, dude. All right, but this video, and I'm only going to play one clip because Dr. Phil's a dick and likes to get people for copyright violations like he did to Jesse Dollemore. So let me just play this one clip of Donald Trump talking about if Jesus would have came down. This is so hard to say. If Jesus came down, I'm just going to play the video. I can't get it out. That's how you measure if you're winning or if it's a fraud.
But no, because think about
Based
it.
on the amount of Trump signs are in the yards.
He doesn't understand how any of this works. Like, it's just a popularity contest to him. He thinks all that matters is ratings and signs. Let me tell you,
right?
As someone who lives in the reddest part of New York, there aren't as many Trump signs everywhere as there used to be, but we still have all of our representatives be red. So
I am in a very red city town. I can't really call it. It's like
let me just go over it for those who don't realize, and I'm going to pick on this for a very particular reason.
Hold on real quick before you get into that. I just want to say that I've noticed, because in 2020, there were Trump signs everywhere. Like, people would put 20, 30 Trump signs in their 1 yard. Now I barely see any. So there is definitely a difference there. But all right, so we're going to talk about Dr. Phil.
I'm only going to go over Dr. Phil because, yet again, it goes to show the quality of human beings that not only Donald Trump will associate with, but the people that will choose to associate with Donald Trump. Number one, Dr. Phil is not who you think he is. But let's take a look. All right. He has never had a medical license, as he is not a medical doctor. That doesn't mean you can't be called doctor. You can be called doctor for other reasons. But the implication when you have a show called Dr. Phil is that you're probably a medical doctor. Okay. His training is as a PhD clinical psychologist. Great. You are absolutely deserved to be called doctor for that. Although it has been written about that he is not currently licensed to practice in that field. Oh, what? Well, we'll get to that. Dr. Phil's current net worth is $460 million, and by salary they mean the average amount of money he makes through all of his ventures every year is about $80 million. And how does he do that? Well, he gives people medical advice. But he's also a giant fraud and has had history of scumbacious dealings with guests, getting guests with copyright information, like Jeremy said. So what is this about? Well, in 2006, Phil surrendered his psychology license in Texas following numerous controversies and ethical malpractices. This includes an ethics charge by the Texas State Board of Examiners of Psychologists in 1988. This is going back a long time. After Phil hired a former patient in a part-time capacity. He does not currently hold a license. Practicing psychology without a license is a felony in California. But Dr. Phil gets around this with extensive paperwork stating that his guests are merely getting advice and not legitimate psychological help. As if that wasn't bad enough. The people that he purports to help are very often his victims. Addicts looking for help are Dr. Phil's bread and butter. But according to reports, the show sometimes enables them. In 2017, a scathing report by the STAT and the Boston Globe, revealed that numerous guests have complained of being enabled. Get ready. One guest, an alcoholic named Todd Herzog, stated that he arrived sober only to be provided with vodka and Xanax backstage. Another guest, Caitlin, was pregnant at the time and going through heroin withdrawals on set. After Caitlin's mother sought help, a producer allegedly took Caitlin to Skid Row so she could acquire heroin. Caitlin's mother was later reprimanded by Dr. Phil for enabling her daughter.
Yeah, you just got to love the Republican Party, man. Just all those values are just pouring out, man. These people really are the scum of the earth, aren't they? They truly are.
Hey, maybe he'll be the attorney general. I mean, I know he wants to appoint RFK Jr. to lead America's health, whatever that means. The guy who
Health and Human Services
roadkill.
Yeah, they want to put the guy with the brain worm in charge of Health and Human Services. God help us. Okay, so then Donald Trump goes on this show with a guy named Sean Ryan, and they're talking about a lot of stuff. And one of the things is climate change, and we've proven over and over again that Donald Trump, he has no idea what climate change is. He thinks weather and climate change are the same thing. Like, if weather changes, he's like, weather changes all the time. And this Sean Ryan guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's the next Navy SEAL. Which, again, if you're military and support Donald Trump, once again, stick your head up your own ass. I'm just saying that a lot from now on. But here's this interview, and Donald Trump says that global warming or climate change is not the threat; it's nuclear warming. It's his favorite term. He's just a fear monger now. So what are you going to do?
The biggest risk today, when I hear these poor fools talking about global warming. They don't call it that anymore. They call it climate change because, some parts of the planet are cooling and warming. It didn't work. So they finally got it right. They just call it climate change. They used to call it global warming. Years ago, they used to call it global cooling. In the 1920s, they thought the planet was going to freeze. Now they think the planet's going to burn up. And we're still waiting for the 12 years. We're down almost to the end of the 12-year period. You understand that with these lunatics that know nothing. They weren't even good students at school. They didn't even study. They predict. They said,
he knows that? He knows all of the scientists.
People didn't have babies because they said, we only have another. No, it's so crazy. But the problem isn't the fact that the oceans in 500 years will raise a quarter of an inch. The problem is nuclear weapons. It's nuclear warming.
Yeah, saying that scientists were bad in school coming out of Donald Trump is just, the irony is just amazing, because to this day, we still can't get a hold of Donald Trump's school records. But his professor did say he was the dumbest damn student he's ever had in his entire life.
This goes to the heart of the type of person that Donald Trump sought to be his supporter and the Republican Party courted to be their base. Ignorant, science-denying people who, through a lack of education, a lack of intelligence, or a lack of just giving a shit, do not understand how science works, do not understand that just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's wrong. You might be an idiot, but just because of that, that doesn't mean quantum physics isn't real, okay? Right. So the idea that these people are dumb because they're changing their mind, the irony is that you're so rigid in your opinions and beliefs that you can't change your mind when presented with evidence that would demand a change in your opinion. That's the whole point of science. Your opinion is bullshit. Facts matter. Facts change. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's remind everybody that Donald Trump was the man who suggested nuking a hurricane. And I saw a thing. I think it was when he was president or it was afterwards. He was actually sitting down with these scientists. They're actually experts in their field. And they were telling him the data, and he's like, no, I don't think that's right. I think the science is wrong, and I'm right. It's like, oh, my God. Like, how do you put somebody like that in the White House that won't even listen to experts? Okay, Donald Trump is an idiot, but thinks he's the smartest person in the room because he has a relative who went to MIT. That's one of my favorite lines of all. Then Donald Trump goes on to say that the American dream, nobody talks about the American dream anymore. And then I found a video of Kamala Harris in 2020 talking about the American dream. So I'll play them both back to back so you can see what I'm talking about.
And we will bring back the American dream, bigger, better, stronger, and just better, bigger, better. We love the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream. When was the last time you heard about the American dream? They don't talk about it.
The ambition of the American dream, the ambition of somebody like Joe Biden to believe and know that we can restore the soul of America and uplift the middle class, the ambition of the framers to dare to write the Constitution of the United States, and the ambition of Joe Biden and the ambition of the Constitution of the United States, I support wholeheartedly.
They copy everything else I do, so I guess that'll be nice. They'll be copying. They'll be saying, oh, the American dream. She doesn't know what the American dream is.
Yeah. I mean, Kamala Harris is the definition of the American dream. Parents immigrated from another country, middle-class upbringing, worked her way through college, worked her way through her entire life to get to the top, possibly the next president of the United States. And you got Donnie Jr. here, Donnie Jr., well, him too. You got Donnie over here, who has never worked a hard day in his life, who has had a silver spoon up his ass his whole life, has ruined, I don't even know, thousands of people's lives, possibly millions if you count COVID. And he wants to talk about her not talking. I mean, Donald Trump is the American nightmare. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what the American dream is because he's never had to work for anything his entire life.
Nope.
Not at all. So, yeah, more and more bad stuff keeps coming out. I'm going to save the shutdown. Donald Trump is now talking about shutting the government down again. I'll save that clip for the next show. But I want to talk about this Gabby
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. That's it. Tulsi Gabbard interview that he does. It was a town hall. And Donald Trump shows up and is like, I didn't know this was a town hall.
I got to make question answers.
I had a great speech lined up. Why didn't anybody tell me?
I had a great ramble lined up.
Yeah, so, and Tulsi Gabbard, who claims she used to be a Democrat, most people like to point out that she's basically just a Russian asset working for Putin.
She's a Russia.
Well, she does.
A Russiacrat.
Oh, that's right. She was in Russia, for crying out loud. Like, what are we even talking about here? But here's Donald Trump just being a dumbass, you know, the usual.
I finished and I figured I was going to come here and we were going to make a speech. I had a speech all set for you. I was ready. They said, sir, you're actually doing a town hall. I said, oh, nobody told me that.
So really, he's just an idiot?
I said, who's doing it? They said, Tulsi. I said, well, that's at least good news. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, I have to tell you.
So, I'll just chill for anyone who's
So
next
I
to
didn't
me.
even know. I'm in the plane, and I'm looking over some material, and we're going to give you a hell of a speech tonight. We were set to give you one hell of a speech. They said, no, sir, it's a town hall. I said, why doesn't somebody tell me this stuff? And I don't even have any idea who we're doing it for. I don't know. Is it for a network or what? I see a lot of television all over the place. So
he's just ranting about how he had no idea what he was doing?
Yeah, he's basically
He's
saying
literally-
how shitty his people.
He's actually just saying, I don't know what the hell's going on in my campaign. They just I don't know what's happening. And
my people don't tell me shit. I mean, it was even advertised for days prior as a town hall.
He was slurring.
Diana's on. Diana Patton from
yeah.
Defense of Democracy. We're actually talking about the Moms for Liberty speech on the next show on Tuesday. We're going to have some clips of that. And next Saturday, we're going to have Liz Mkhitaryan, founder of Stop Moms for Liberty, back on the show. We're going to be talking about we're going to do a stark comparison on what could be our education system versus the disaster it would be if Donald Trump gets elected. So we're going to talk about all that on Saturday. But yeah, the Tulsi Gabbard interview just continues to get worse and worse and worse. It's so low energy. You can tell Tulsi Gabbard is even like, what is this guy talking about?
What do I do with this guy?
Right. I mean, you can ask him questions, and they're just softball questions. It's not like the NABJ interview
and make it anything.
Right. See, Donald Trump doesn't like to go out of a controlled environment, and that's what happened when he did the NABJ interview.
Oh,
and
my
when they
God.
ask him real questions, you can see how he reacts. He freaks out.
He immediately acted like the racist idiot he is.
Yeah, so his people have decided to not take him out of his controlled little bubble. They want to keep control of Donald Trump as much as possible, but even they're failing miserably.
In the very few events he does, because he's so old and tired and lost.
Oh.
The guy barely does anything. His schedule is like, I play golf every day, and me too tired, go anywhere. No events, stay home at Mar-a-Lago.
Bro, listen to this. This should bother everybody. Now, I mentioned, I think, on the last show or a couple shows ago, that Donald Trump's rally schedule seems to coincide in cities that have extremely high KKK activity. Well, a TikToker was nice to point out, and I have to figure out who it was to give him credit for it, was nice to point out that all these rallies that Donald Trump recently is attending are in sundown towns. Which, in case you don't know what that is, it's one of those old racist Jim Crow laws that black people couldn't be out after dark or within city limits after dark, or they would be shot or hung. Those are the cities that Donald Trump is visiting. Basically, the most racist parts of our country, that's where Donald Trump is going. Where the most white people are. Because that's really the only people that like his ass anyways. So then another thing, Donald Trump is obsessed with crowd sizes. Earlier, we showed the clip where he says he's leading the internet, which we are kind of not even sure what the fuck that means. I don't know what leading the internet
I don't know what that means. Well, he's leading. Many people are saying.
He is obsessed with Kamala and Tim Walz's social medias, especially on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's like, their engagement is fake. They're paying for their numbers and blah, blah, blah. But you can tell that Donald Trump's numbers are fake because he has so many millions of followers. Yeah, he has so many millions of followers, and he actually gets less interaction on his videos than Kamala Harris does.
Yep.
So he's obsessed with crowd sizes. obsessed with the social media. The only thing he's not obsessed about is making life better for all Americans.
True. Well,
or any American, really.
In fact, this might be a good time to talk about, in addition to his disdain for America and the American institutions, the biggest example of how little he cares about this country is the fear mongering that he is willing to do that will inevitably cause violence, because he's already done that once. And let me tell you, the first time he did that, they weren't using AI. But look at what he's doing now, okay? This is getting scary.
Instagram.
He just posted before the show a few slides that I'm going to show. This is AI, but the image in the middle is what he posted. It says Kamala Harris pledged free health care for illegals, which, no. They're coming to collect. So if you look at this image and you're a Trump supporter, you are going to think that this is an image that is existing in reality right now. Okay? The problem is it's not. It's AI. Look, what are those road signs? What are those road markings? What do they mean? They're not real. Those vehicles on the bottom left, those are not real cars. There's no media. If this was real, there'd be media and cops and protesters everywhere, not just a big line of people going into a building that just says emergency on it.
Yeah, it gets worse, though.
Oh, it does.
Just wait. There's more.
On your left is a clearly AI image of people who are Muslim burning the American flag. And it says, meet your new neighbors if Kamala wins. On the right, a political party that notoriously has no respect for women is going to scare you by having someone stalking a woman while he's holding a knife. And it says, no one is safe with Kamala's open borders.
And vote Trump 2024. It's despicable. It's pathetic.
Of inflammatory rhetoric that you are going to see now and for the next 9 to 10 weeks until the election. And it's all going to be AI. This is a guy that said, Kamala's using AI to inflate her crowd sizes. Right. Well, here's a cartoon with, a representation of Donald Trump and maybe a Sigmund Freud. And the psychiatrist is asking Donald Trump, these very large crowds, are they in the room with us now? Because they don't exist, but he can't stand that. So now knowing that the illegal immigrant invasion rhetoric, he can't get real pictures of it. Think about this. No. He can't get real images because it's not happening.
Exactly.
So, and I'm going to bring it up again. He's making up images of people that are not real in situations that are not happening to scare you. Let me show you how easy it is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is exactly what happened when all those people did that caravan down to this. Remember all those people at the southern border? Because Donald Trump and them were showing videos of border cross people just flooding across the border. I know they got there and they're like, oh,
it's not real.
No.
So let me show you, because I've been playing with AI a lot lately, just in the capacity of making fun images for the show, for my own Instagram, just stuff like that. I wanted to come up with an image. You put in a prompt and it shits out an image. And this was not what I put in, but it turned out to be a representation of the modern Republican Party. Yeah. It is a two-headed Trump Jesus monster staring lovingly at me. You can't get more perfect than that. And I would venture to say that this image is more accurate than this image.
I know, right? And then,
but I'll tell you,
make it worse.
I do have an unedited, non-AI photo of Donald Trump the past couple of weeks. His mental decline has been noticeable, to say the least. And I have an image, again, not doctored, not AI.
That is an image of Donald Trump's brain. We did a scan.
Yeah, so anyway, look, I know I had to end with a laugh because I don't want to start raging the rest of the day. I'm going to go have a nice, lovely meal with my in-laws. I can't wait. I don't want to be thinking about this nonsense while I'm there. But my God, listen to what we are telling you. The rhetoric that you are going to see using AI is going to cause violence very soon. Very soon.
Especially that Elon Musk has that Grok 2 or whatever it is on.
Yeah.
Literally, if you want to do Mickey Mouse as Adolf Hitler, it'll do a picture of Mickey Mouse as Adolf Hitler. Like, you can literally make any image on there unregulated, and Elon Musk is just letting people get away with it.
Yep.
It's sick. And we did a show about AI like back when we first started this 10 months ago. because Biden was trying to help, regulate properly AI. So they are working on it, but they need to work faster. And again, this is why we need to have a functioning government so we can have regulations and laws passed that check stuff like this. Because right now we don't have that. Also, I got who else got just massive amount of satisfaction from Elon Musk getting shot out in Brazil? Yep. I laughed so hard. I'm like, that's what you get. That's what you get, punk.
And let me tell you, Europe is about to do something similar. Europe is going to be like, no, we're done with you two. You're disgusting.
And honestly, if we had to choose, I think Americans, if we had to choose whether to ban Twitter or ban TikTok, I bet you a lot of people.
Yeah. So let's think about this.
Only people that wouldn't want to ban Twitter are those right-wing MAGA trolls.
They're so afraid of China or some Asian country owning TikTok, right? We remember what it looked like when those racist Republicans were asking, like, the CEO of TikTok things, and he's like, "Well, I'm not Chinese, I'm not from the country you're talking about." Anyway,
you're not Chinese,
but you're okay with Elon Musk, who is maybe a citizen but a immigrant, which is fine, except that they hate immigrants, but they're okay with that. So the point is,
money.
AI is going to be dangerous. Social media now is a little scary because of who might be allowing this stuff on there. I got to tell you, Instagram, please go fix this. Okay.
Yeah,
Zuck,
please.
You got to handle this. You cannot allow AI images to cause what is going to be deadly violence in the name of Donald Trump. Please stop it now. Get on.
I can call it right now. The violence is going to happen after the election.
Yeah, but you know what the beauty is?
Inauguration day.
Oh, you're right. But you know what the best part is? I post AI images all the time. There's literally a function in Instagram where you click that says, label this an AI image.
Right. Exactly.
All they had to do was that. Oh, well, we didn't know. My social media manager didn't know. Get a new one. I'll do it for you, buddy.
Yeah. Who are you paying? Like, why are you, who are you hiring? These people are terrible. So, all right. I got one more clip to show of this interview he did with Tulsi Gabbard, the Russian asset. This whole being labeled weird has really gotten under Donald Trump's skin. And I got to thank Tim Walz for bringing this up and pointing it out, because it's really taken. And Donald Trump hates being called weird. Out of all the things we've called him, he doesn't like being called weird the most, which is weird.
Because in Minnesota, I mean, they picked this guy. He is weird.
This guy who's the most relatable, normal guy ever.
He's weird. I'm not weird. He's weird. They always have sound bites, and one of the things is that JD and I are weird. That guy is so straight. JD is he's doing a great job, smart, top student.
I would argue that he might not be straight.
Great guy, and he's not weird, and I'm not weird.
I don't think he is.
I mean, we're a lot of things we're not weird, I will tell you. But that guy is weird, don't you think? He signed for, and this is, who would think that this is even happening in our country with men playing in women's sports and all of this, but he has it. He has it at a level that nobody can believe.
Shit.
A bill that every boy's bathroom will have tampons. Okay.
What
guy
are you talking about? And
that guy could not get through that. Holy shit.
After seeing at the RNC when Grindr crashed, after seeing the picture of JD Vance and Lindsey Graham in that car in the back seat looking all cozy, I started having questions. JD, I think, is honestly, he's either a sociopath, a straight up psychopath, or a self-hating closet homosexual. That's the only three things that make sense to me, why he is the way he is. But yeah, being called weird is apparently just really what gets under their skin.
That's all it took was a powerful black woman to say it. And a strong, compassionate white man to not be a piece of shit to say it. And it triggered the crap out of Trump and all of those little pathetic weenie assholes.
Yep. And we are here for every second of it. And we're going to love every second of it. And we're going to report every second of it. All right, guys. That's all we have for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. If you like the video, if you like content, please hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment. Leave a blue heart. If you don't want to leave a comment, it just helps with the algorithm. Any interaction is good interaction. Also, we will be back on Tuesday at 8 p.m. with another live episode talking about more recent events that have just happened, including, like Diana Patton said, the Moms for Liberty interview that Donald Trump just did, because let's remind everybody that Moms for Liberty is an extremist hate group labeled by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and Donald Trump supports and speaks for Moms for Liberty. And
some good things, they got their asses kicked recently in some local elections.
Yeah,
their influence is waning, but the threat is not.
No, we can't take our eye off the ball. We still got to keep up the excitement. We got to keep our focus all the way through November, and then we can maybe relax a little bit afterwards. But until then, we got a lot of work to do. So, like I always say, let's fucking go, man. We are ready.
Yeah.
Also, if you'd like to donate to the show, we do have a GoFundMe link in the description of the video. We're trying to get better studio equipment, better computers, etc. So, yeah, that's all we have for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. We love all you guys. Thank you for your support so far. And like I told somebody before, somebody in the comments said they don't understand we're not getting more views. And I told them, we don't care if we get 1 view or 1 million views. We're not stopping. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And we hope you guys come along for the ride. So other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Love you guys. And we'll talk to you soon.
The problem is they are a weird political party.
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing, until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them.
These 26 QAnon people.
Q is a patriot. QAnon believers lined up on the grassy knoll. It's the site of the JFK assassination. They believed that the president's late son, JFK Jr., would miraculously appear and that he would help Donald Trump take back power.
I want to talk about the real pandemic, child sex trafficking. By putting masks on these kids' face, you guys support sex trafficking.
Have you been a good little Nazi? It's not necessarily the extreme. I mean, these are people that talk about testicle tanning.
Testicle tanning.
It's testicle tanning.
Half the viewers right now are like, what? That's testicle tanning? That's crazy. But my view is, okay, testosterone levels crash and nobody says anything about it. That's crazy.
By and large, a large part of the Republican Party is just out and out weird.
Then all of a sudden you get invited to, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy.